Have you ever marveled at the beauty of Soviet-era art? I have. It's really fascinating. It was only a brief period of Russian history. It started around the end of the First World War and ended with the Berlin Wall ending. Anyway, welcome back to the Macedon Ranger's Voice. Thank you so much for watching. Check out tomorrow's, check out yesterday's if you missed it, because yesterday's was really important. It's so good to have you here, because today we're talking art. Well, design, something, aesthetic, I don't know. I've been to Russia, and this is not a sort of virtue signaling thing. I just went there. And me and my dearly beloved had our honeymoon in Russia. The wall was down, it was all over. And what I was surprised about was there was only very few remnants of Soviet-era architecture and art left. But it was very obvious when you saw it. I think they're trying to obliterate the whole thing, and probably by now there's even less. Anyway, Soviet-era stuff was beautiful and different. It came from a totally different design language. The vernacular was so different that it just, didn't make sense to many Westerners. That's why it stands out to me as being so interesting. When I'm doing the wiring for something, just sort of setting up the office or plugging in musical equipments or whatever, I always think about this story. One of the most interesting things that Russians did during the Soviet era was they designed spaceships. They designed space stations, most importantly. They had a space station up there very early, and it was a beautiful thing. It wasn't just a technological marvel. It was also a beautiful design. It looked great. Most spaceships look pretty ugly. This was a beautiful thing. You can look it up if you like. Anyway, they made one small mistake. And that was they hadn't taken into account that over time they may require additional wiring. Being a space station up there. Oh, we've got a new clock. We've got to plug it in. Oh, how do we do that? Hang on. Oh, we'll just run a line. So they thought, that's okay. What we'll do is we'll just run it down the centre of the space station. I'm guessing it was just like a long tube. Okay? But every now and then there was an airlock. So because there was no way of kind of going around, they just went through the airlock. And they would put a pair of pliers, just in case they needed to use the airlock to save their lives, they would just cut the wire. That's fine. After about 3 years of operation, that wire had grown into a rope about the size of a man's thigh. Because they had run so many lines down the centre of their space station for all the modifications and repairs and changes that they had to be made, they then had to have an axe at every single airlock, in case there was some reason they had to airlock the place. They would then axe their way through the large assortment of wires. A bit of a mess, really. So, this influenced the design of the future space station, the current one, the one that's currently in operation. And it is basically a giant conduit floating in space, ready for any extra lead or wire that may be required. So, sometimes you really should plan to be ugly. Why don't you have a great day?